Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the good morning yet indoor walk. I know a lot of people wanted the outdoor one today, um, but you know, life, you get busy, you end up doing things. So unfortunately, I can't um, do a full good morning walk today. Go down to the field. So I thought, rather than actually just say I'm not doing one, just do this instead. It's um, a lot more um, sort of convenient just for me today. And like I said before, I do want to do um, more live streams, so I need to get back in the habit of doing more live streams. Because as I said, when I'm doing it, when I'm doing this, I enjoy it. It's just the to do it. It's the the push to go and do it. But as always, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the people in chat. Mike, good morning to you. Sarah Davis, good morning to you. Dave W, good morning to you. Paul Martin, good morning to you. Dave Walker, good morning to you. Rushino, good morning to you as well. Kath OG, good morning to you. Zoldaran, good morning to you as well. And good morning to everyone else who is with us this morning. Like I say, click the like, click the share button. Ben, good morning to you as well. Yeah. Say for me going into the office. But yeah, what a wild week it's been. Um and I said this when Trump came in. I do not want to become like the British guy who covers UK politics and then goes to suddenly starts covering Trump. And there is a lot of Trump stuff that I have not covered. Like, I have not covered. We've covered some of it on Geoscope because, that's where we do sort of, that's where we talk about, foreign affairs stuff. But on here and on this channel, I only really want to talk about him unless he does something that is going to affect us over here. And ultimately, those tariffs have really affected us. Quite in a significant way. 10% is what, 20 billion, I think it adds up to, of our economy. I'm sure it's around that number. Like I said, I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, but I think it's around that number from what I believe. So that's what we're looking at. That's a huge hit to our economy. The 25% on tariff on cars, that represents a potential 25,000 job loss in the UK car industry. That's not nothing in the grand scheme of things. Trump doing that stuff will hurt us. So it's like, that's the point where I have to talk about Trump. But yeah. And just this week has been madness. Absolute madness. Pardon me. Oh. I don't think of penguins. I think much of Donald Trump. Well, very, very, very true, Thomas. Paul, yeah, interesting times. Yeah, what's the saying? May you live in interesting times. As they say on that one. Total Dump is now completely scared about those penguins. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll get into like one of the things that's happened around that, because I do want to talk about that in a bit. You saw the documentary films about all those penguins in Madagascar, especially as he's scared about that Rico guy. Yeah. I again never saw the can't say it now. The Madagascar films. Yeah, less interesting times would be great, but please, it keeps the communities going. Well, true. But I still don't think we are know 100% what turned him around, because obviously there's his thing that his one of his guys was threatening to quit and making a big stink about it. That's one of the things that has been repeated this week. It's not Pete. It's not Navarro. It was can't remember his name now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his business secretary guy who was threatening to walk over this. But then also we've seen the bond yields increase, which is bad because now it means you get a longer period over your return. Again, I'm trying to sort of remember, because I'll tell you what, when all this stuff like financially happens, if you've never interacted with any like financial stuff or anything like that, you're then going to try and sort of work out like this. And honestly, it's like dark magic. It's like, voodoo witchcraft. It really is. Really is. Does feel like it sometimes when you're sort of reading about this and you're like, hold on, what's this term mean? What does this term mean? But yeah, that's apparently what scared him as well. But it also, I think, indicates that someone, or at least a country, had sold bonds, but we still don't know who. The rumor, I think we mentioned it last night on the Politics Social, that not Canada, Japan. Like everyone was saying it was Japan, but Japan actually came out and said no, it wasn't us. I don't think we still know who did that. Let's see what the yeah, they've not actually sold this, but it's the bond market that is meant to be really spooked him to enter this. Like I say, all the things here, Trump tariffs trigger bond market fire sale. U.S. Treasury bond yields jump as trade war calls safe haven status now into question. Trump tariffs spark government debt sell-off. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on there on that front. That it's just like, who's doing it? Who's doing the selling? Is it private investors? Is it countries getting rid of their US debt? Who knows? It's going to still be interesting to watch, because obviously the whole thing with China is still going on. In though everyone has got 10% except China, who's now got 145%. So yeah, that's a whole thing, isn't it? Yeah, there's a lot of bad feeling in South Wales about the Scunthorpe Steel intervention. They ignored us to save the English. Labour must help Port Talbot too. I agree, but there's two different points about that. Port Talbot is arc furnaces, and Scunthorpe is blast furnaces. So I think that decision had a lot to do with it. From at least what I can see. Like I say, don't take my word for it, but that seems to be the whole reason why. And it was because the Chinese investors had come out and said, "Oh, it's not feasible. We can't sell it." But these blast furnaces, if you turn them off, that's it. It can take like 2 to 3 years, I think, to like get them actually back to a point where you can use them again. It's what you saw in Mariupol. When the Russians invaded, one of the things that the Ukrainians did, like one of the last things like they did, was they turned the blast furnaces off so that the Russians couldn't use them. So I think that's something sort of to sort of take into consideration. It'll be interesting to see what gets discussed today in Parliament. I would prefer them to just go full nationalization, but it seems to me they're doing pseudo nationalization, where it's like, yeah, it's nationalized in everything but name. You know, like government's going to be paying people's wages. It's going to be paying for, supplies for the for the furnace. At that point, why just not? Why does just not nationalize it all? But hey, so long as it saves the people's jobs up there, that's a good move for it. Craig, back to the bonds. Higher bond yields, of course, as you get paid more at the end of the time of holding. So yeah, so they'll have to pay basically more for those bonds. So yeah, that would probably spook a lot of people. That would probably increase their debt a lot more on that. Yeah. Everyone's saying, "Oh, insider trading." A lot of people are saying that. But it's having like the cold hard evidence to substantiate that. It wouldn't surprise me. Of course, I know Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said that, but I think it's very, very difficult to sort of find and do that on that front. I think it's finding that cold hard evidence on that one. Charles, good morning. Imagine Trump having to face Emily Mattis parliamentary questions each week. Yeah, that's the thing about America. You may remember the whole Paxman scenario. People remember Jeremy Paxman. He became like this fearful figure that every politician didn't want to be interviewed by him because they were like, "Oh my god, he'll destroy us." So it got to a point where no one would sit for an interview with Jeremy Paxman because they just got too afraid of him. Which, bear in mind, is simultaneously a good thing, but also a bad thing if no one wants to be interviewed by you, especially in politics. But yeah, it is one of those odd things, certainly, when it comes down to that. But yeah, MAGA hats sure got a lot more expensive. Oh yeah, they did. In fact, someone did a video, and they went to the Trump. They went to the Trump Tower and the Trump store, and everything is made in China. Everything from drinking bottles to the hats, everything, like absolutely everything, made in China. It's just like, yeah, it's suddenly become a lot more expensive. And the whole reason is that China has that manufacturing base, but it's got the skills, and it's got the skills like en masse to be able to do it. That's how they're able to sort of do it. Where you think in, I don't know, in Sheffield, how many people would you say are seamstresses? Like, how many seamstresses would you say right now in Sheffield? And then if you took like a big garment order to be able to do it, and you've seen the factories with, them all sat there in front of a sewing machine just going like that. Like that is skilled labor on a massive scale. And China just has like the population. It has the training that trains people in those manual labor skills en masse. Even though there has been some manufacturing moving away, from China, as we've seen to Vietnam, to to I want to say Burma, but it's not, Bangladesh. Has not completely gone, but it's just there because there just is, oh, you want what 20,000 sewers to fill like a massive order. Well, there you go. there's 20,000. There's well, not 20,000, but there's 2,000 people who can instantly fill those jobs. Sit their sewing machine and just go like that. That's where China has always had like the big advantage on that. Grandad did a thing again. Yeah, sure seems like it. But you can tell, because Trump loves the attention, you can tell now when he's been doing a lot of the his appearances, he's been a lot more energized because he's had all that attention, because he loves the attention on it. Craig, insider trading was probably just a consolation prize, not the goal. He wanted it to work to justify the income tax cuts. Well, yeah. I mean, when those tax cuts come in, oh boy. Because as far as we know, I think they passed. I think the Republicans passed the bill. Let me just check. U.S. Yeah, that's it. 2 days ago. Yeah, so it was 2 days ago. They passed it, approved in the House. So, but it gives them everything they want. And of course, it raises the debt ceiling even more, which you would think for like people who the Republicans are like, oh my God, we care about the debt. Raising the debt ceiling. Yeah, on that. Yeah. Bad when Biden does it, good when Trump does it, and that's the double standard on that completely. Liebchen, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. How are we all doing today? The sun is spitting in the skies. I've just been cheered up by this new channel called The Puppet Regime, where they do political skits with Muppets. Oh, would not surprise me. Would not surprise me on that. Like I say, it's such a shame that, in the UK, when it comes to sort of our like political programming, we had The Thick of It. If you've never seen The Thick of It, so good. They even did a film sort of parodying the whole Iraq war campaign and like the media spin about it. Very, very good series. Go watch The Thick of It if you've never seen it before. But there's also Have I Got News for You? And that's really been it. I mean, we used to have a lot of good programs, but I don't know. I think whether it just went or not. But then, of course, there's someone going to be in the chat even and say, oh, but what about Radio 4? And I said, yeah, if you want good political satire, you need to turn on like BBC Radio 4 in like the evenings and like catch their comedy programs that they have on there, because they're really, really good. It's really, really good. And it's so annoying every single time when like one of these things like reaches a certain critical mass. They give them a TV show, and then for some reason they absolutely fail when they do the TV show on it. Don't know why. Don't know how it happens, but it's just the same thing every single time. Oh, anyway. V Crew. Ukraine and the Penguins got the tariffs, but not Russia and Belarus. Total dump stinks with, of course, sticks with Putin. Yeah. Yeah, that was, I think everyone went, because that was one of the things I looked for as well. Where's Russia from this? Where's Russia? And I think the excuse again. We put his excuse in quotation marks, but it's the excuse. Oh, we're already sanctioning them. But again, something may happen this weekend because we know that there's a I can't remember who it is. He's over there speaking to Putin this weekend, so there might be movement on there. What that movement might be, I don't know. You can have the automated factory, but you need people to maintain robots. Exactly. Like I say, that's where manufacturing is heading. It is heading towards automation, like mass automation with robots, massively so. That's where manufacturing is going. It's people getting their heads. Someone leaves secondary school, walks into goes right into a job with a factory, picks up the wrench, and just starts doing that for a couple of hours a day. But it's not. It's manufacturing is changing. That you now will soon need an engineering degree, programming degree of some sort. It's becoming even more high skilled to have these factories with those robots, and that's where manufacturing is going. That's why we need, if anything, in the UK, we need to build some robot factories. Cavalan, good morning to you. Yeah. Charles, hey, DJ, tell Trump it looks very secure to hold our chat in top secret meetings. Probably very true. And I'm still thinking there's going to be other leaks by Signal chats. I'm surprised that haven't been. We know that I've heard that there are more. It's just that they haven't been leaked yet, which honestly has surprised me because I thought we would get like, oh, here's this chat, here's this chat, here's this chat, and oh, by the way, there's this chat as well. Ben Ridings, Trump doesn't understand anything relating to financial markets or otherwise. He's just a completely useful idiot to the corrupt individuals around him. Yeah. But can they control him? I don't think they can. I think Trump is a complete loose cannon. Complete loose cannon on that. JC Holland, good morning to you. Greetings from the Netherlands. Right-wing governments are again dismantling many civil rights. Here in the Netherlands, we now have a right-wing cabinet, and they are cutting off they're cutting off the. Hang on, let me put my teeth back in. I have a right-wing cabinet, and they are cutting off in education and so on. Again, unfortunately, it's the whole thing we are seeing at the moment, rise in right-wing governments. But take heart, like really do take heart that when a right-wing government comes in, they eventually do end up failing. Like I say, Orban is quite in trouble because here's a guy who's been saying, hey, if I'm leader of, Hungary, you give me all this power, I'll make your lives better. That hasn't happened. And now a lot of people are starting to turn away from him going, yeah, we've given all this stuff. You said you would make things better. You haven't done. I think his days certainly numbered, for one, but we'll see on that. We will see. Craig, the cuts have passed the House, but not the Senate, which means they must now need to pass through reconciliation, but the final reconciliation deal must be tax neutral, and the odds of that are very slim. So I'm surprised it passed. I'm surprised it passed, but we'll see what happens, as you say, when it goes to the Senate. We'll see what happens. But I can see there being a showdown. I'm surprised there wasn't initially this week, given the tariff disaster and all that stuff coming. I am very surprised Republicans didn't split from Trump. Maybe they will, given the whole Wisconsin stuff, but we'll see. If Condon is such a good business, then pissing off your customers and your creditors is an excellent strategy, especially if those are the very same people. Oh, wait. Yep. Every single time. Yeah, every single time. And bear in mind, China has the nuclear option. Not like, it's going to shoot a nuclear weapon, but its nuclear weapon it holds so much American debt. At what point do they just go, we're not refinancing it, we're calling in that debt? That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to wait for and be careful, because if that happens, that will get very spicy. Mr. L, good morning to you as well. Golden Boy, European Union, China, and the UAE official entering trade talks aiming to remove tariffs and boost cooperation. Yep, you said that yesterday. I am not surprised. Cut out the America from supply routes, trade routes. When I had my sort of, I think many people have seen it, my response from Dan Jarvis. I hope he brings that up. I really hope he goes to Reynolds and says, right, we need to be doing sectoral deals, because that's what we need to be doing. Going to Canada, getting that stuff. We can't take it all, but we can take some of it. Yeah. Good morning, standing still. True. Let's not just borrow him any more money. Dump the US bonds. Again, maybe. Always remember that the US screwed over the UK and France over Suez in a very similar way. Like, they went, oh, all that debt that you owe us, yeah, we're going to be calling it in. And that was the end of both the French and British Empire at that point. Like I say, it would be so bizarre if that's how what ends up happening to America. But I think it will. I think at some point they'll just call those debts in. The Witchy Goth, good morning to you. Shane Heff, how longer can, of course, Starmer avoid committing to a customs union with the EU? Again, it will always come down to common sense. I've always said this. There comes a point where Starmer will go and have that meeting, the stuff next month with the EU. He can come back and he will either go, yeah, we've improved Brexit, but it's still not going to be, congratulations, you might have improved stuff by a small percentage point, but it's still not fixed everything. But at this point in this parliament, I don't think you're going to see too much stuff. But we are seeing more people talk about Brexit, the problems of Brexit, being more pro-European, which is good. Again, something else that I said would be a positive in this parliament, because guess what? All those Brexiteers got given the boot, pretty much so. So there's a lot more, shall we say, room to sort of speak and talk about that. And we are seeing those talks and that sort of rebuilding of those relations being very, very fruitful on that front. What's this? A US version of High Got News for You seems to be doing very well. There's clips all over YouTube. I had no idea there was a US version of I Got News for You. I'm going to have a look into that. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, considering how popular Have I Got News for You is over here. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm surprised it hasn't been done before, but we'll see. Yvonne, good morning to you. We can't have a customs union with the UK because the UK doesn't control its borders. Ben, here we are. Trump completed yet another cognitive physical exam yesterday. Oh, I'm sure he completed it. I'm sure he completed it. On this, Shane, Carney is being completely cool as ice. Watching the US Brexit, he's seen it all before. Yeah. Carney, honestly, I think Carney's going to win the next Canadian election. It's a question of by how much, but he's going to win on that. And like I say, you're right. Carney's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. He warned constantly how bad Brexit was going to be. There's videos of him talking about it, how bad it's going to be. Parliament recall today, save the steel industry. Good thing. Yep. Yeah, we need to be more Mark Carney, I feel. Yeah, very true. Very true on that. Got some super chats coming in. Thank you very much, Cathlo G. Good morning, all. Got to run soon, but good weekend. So, yep, thank you very much on that for that one. Like I say, have a good weekend as well. Jane Lockwood, thank you very much. Thank you for your work, Ollie. Much appreciated. Well, thank you very much for your super chat on that one. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. This happened, yeah. Michael Gove and Jeremy Hunt have been named in Sunak's honours list. Yeah. Every single time, and I keep on bringing this up because I think, honestly, we should be really pushing for House of Lords reform. Like, I think serious House of Lords reform should be top of the agenda because there's just so much stuff that like the public hates when they see like this stuff about the House of Lords, and it just comes all the time. And when Boris Johnson was in, it was probably the first time in a long time that there was more scandals going on in Westminster than there was in the House of Lords. Because House of Lords tends to have like a scandal about once a week, but the thing is, it doesn't get covered too much. But yeah, I really think we should be driving like serious House of Lords reform. Like, I do want to see our voting system changed, but getting a second elected chamber, maybe that's what we should be looking at and doing. We'll see. Craig, people keep on forgetting that we aren't the audience at the moment. Starmer is again talking to the EU bureaucrats and politicians, sparing time to keep us in the loop on fast-changing details seems a very low priority. Yep. We've had years of all these Brexit talks be very performative and for, again, public consumption, but we forgot that what serious negotiations look like. Yeah. I mean, these are. I mean, what like I say, Starmer and Lammy doing these negotiations should be like really praised for what they've done. They've done so much good work, and we are seeing like serious negotiations. Shane, thank you very much. Thank you for taking my questions. Excellent, no problem. But again, thank you very much for your super chat. But yeah, this is like serious negotiations. This is what we're seeing, and you see the EU like complaining that Starmer hasn't said like what he wants. But the thing is, if you are in a negotiation, you don't have to say what you want until you go into that room. Like, Starmer may walk into that room on, is it May 19th? I think the talks take place. He may walk into that room and go, okay, there's there's your fish. We'll sign up to the common fisheries policy. Yeah, we'll accept youth mobility scheme. I mean, I don't see that happening, but who knows? He could do that. But again, we'll see what happens. I doubt it. Very much. But you saw the Finnish Prime Minister be very annoyed at the EU this week. Be very annoyed at the fact that the EU wants to tie the defence talks in with the whole fishing thing, saying she can't understand it. Like, why are you doing this? what are you doing? The defense stuff right now going on is far more important than the fish stuff. But we'll see. Oh, hang on. No, we've done that one. Shane Heff. No, we've done Shane's. Golden Boy, thank you very much for your super chat. The UK The EU will always be your home. Have a good weekend. Well, thank you very much, Golden Boy. Have a very good weekend yourself on that one. But yeah, we are in one of those odd times. It's these tariffs. These tariffs have really put, I think, the final nail in the coffin of Brexit. I did the video of Daniel Hannan this this week complaining about these tariffs. I mean, it is honestly gonna be, sooner or later, we will get to a point where it is like the Iraq War, where if you look at the polling, you should be able to walk out into the street and find someone who supported the Iraq War. If you did that today, no one was in favor of the Iraq War. Just like Boris Johnson. Look at the polling. Everyone was in favor of Boris Johnson. Go out to the street now. You might, to be fair, maybe find the odd one or two, but probably not so now. Probably not so now. The Witchy Goth, I have to head off now, but I'm glad I caught you alive. Had a good one. Well, like I say, thank you very much for joining us. Like I say, I do want to do more live streams again and get back into the swing of it, as they say, on that one. Craig, it's most of the French, and it's probably part of why, again, it's being quiet. Bojo would, of course, have very performancely floused around about on a fishing boat, whereas Starmer is, of course, quietly talking about having to allow to save face. Yeah. That's how you negotiate. And I think people forget, I think people forget there's a fine art to negotiation, real fine art. And if you've never been involved in negotiations before, it's not that you won't understand it, but there is a real fine art. And there's some really good negotiators out there. Really good negotiators. There's also some really bad ones out there, sort of in the business world, but there's some really good people. Really good people out there, especially when it comes to negotiations. But yeah, very true. And negotiations is something, again, we British, soft power. A lot of people always say, our British negotiators, some of the best in the world. Not to, but no. I think it's very much still the same. Like I say, I think that when you've got a government that knows how to use them and use them properly, they'll do very good on that one. Oh. But yeah, I think everyone is still, of course, talking about what's going on with this Trump and this stuff. Of course, talking about the British steel industry. Like I say, I hope they just go and nationalize it. It would honestly make the whole sense. Like, why go 50-50? Why go 50-50 when you can just, make the whole thing? Even, this in The Guardian. Where is it? Hang on. Let me get it up. There we go. Even this, in The Guardian, Keir Starmer is now stepping in to seize control of the British Steel to stop its Chinese owner shutting the Scunthorpe plant in an unprecedented move, paves the way now for likely nationalisation. When the legislation is passed, Reynolds will be able to order the company to buy the raw materials to keep 2 blast furnaces going at the plant, and of course the taxpayer will take on the costs of the purchases. The company's owner, I don't know how you even say that, Jing Yi, I think that's how you say it, has said that he's losing about £700,000 a day. Be interesting to see why. I wonder if that has anything to do with the tariffs. I have to wonder if that has anything to do with the tariffs, to be honest, where they've been sort of getting sort of those materials from. But it wouldn't surprise me. The issue of nationalisation will be dealt with separately, but it is not certain to happen. Some senior sources say that is the most very likely outcome, and the government would have to look at a potential private sector partners now for a transfer of ownership and co-investment. And like I say, it's whether someone wants to take that on. It's whether someone wants to take that on. But you do need a steel industry in your country. Steel is a very critical resource for everything on that. So yeah, I can see maybe we end up nationalizing it. I would not be surprised by the end of the day if it ends up being nationalized. It just seems to make the most sense. Keep it up a ring start the steel for house building. Again, maybe, but you don't want steel sat there. It needs to be made and then sold. And like I say, you look at Sheffield, prime example of a city that is pretty much run, well, not run, but dependent on Forge Masters. Forge Masters makes all that steel, and then all that steel gets sold, most of it, to local businesses who then do like the finishing, the cutting, the molding of that stuff. And like I say, if I'm looking forward to when I get that industrial plan in a couple. Although who knows, maybe it gets delayed because of these Trump tariffs. Who knows? Hang on, just remembered I've got my Shakespearean insult calendar on the wrong day. Well, for those of you interested in what that was, the quote was from Midsummer Night's Dream: "Out, dog, out, cur! Thou drivest me past the bounds of maiden's presence." There you go. Don't say we don't bring a bit of culture to the channel. Blue Badger 88, good morning to you. How are you doing? Excellent. Good. Is no one discussing the elephant room? That is the Grangemouth refinery. Maybe. Yeah. Thought so. Yeah. The industry has been hit by 20% tariffs on steel. The US now imposed by Donald Trump. Government-assisted British Steel's problems are not related to this. I'm sure they aren't. I'm sure they aren't. Scunthorpe is, of course, the last remaining steelworks capable of making steel from iron ore. So he's been, by some people, is very strategically important for the UK. However, the company said it planned to close the two blast furnaces, putting 2,700 jobs at risk. It has now since refused to pay for new materials. Coal and iron ore deliveries to the England port have not yet even been paid for. So, yeah, we'll see what happens on that one. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going to end up being nationalised. Like, I very much think it's going to be nationalised. Seems to be going that way. It wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, but we'll see. Let's have a look at this. Grangemouth refinery. Yeah. And bear in mind that, you know what I've said before. Again, Leaf Skinny, I think you're right on that one. I've said this before. Canada has a lot of oil it sort of doesn't want to sell to the US. That's got to go through the US, gets refined in the US, and then sold from there out like through Louisiana, I think it is, somewhere around there, or Mississippi, somewhere. And we need to get that infrastructure built on the East Coast. It will improve. It will mean, sending ships. But that's what you do. You get that oil from Canada, bring it over to that refinery, get it refined. And like I say, it is fossil fuel. So I know there's, people, net zero and all that, but you need transition. You need to have that, be prepared for that transition. Again, you either continue with you continue with fossil fuels until you do that transition, or you go nuclear. I think we should go nuclear, but again, people disagree with me on that as well. Nicholas, good morning to you. I bet the Tories will have let Scunthorpe closed if they were still in power. Oh, they absolutely would have. Like make no mistake, they would absolutely would have. I really do think they would have. I mean, you look at Talbot. What did they do around Port Talbot? They really did nothing in and around there. But if you were a party, you could have made that a whole thing during the election. Sunak could have done so much stuff if he wanted to, but he didn't because, again, don't care. The fact that we are in a position right now where we are seeing like the renationalization of our railways is only because the Tories were forced into that situation. And even then, at the time, the Transport Secretary was like, no, this isn't nationalisation. This isn't nationalisation at all. But it was absolutely nationalisation. Even Labour's like, yeah, we're just going to call it what it is, nationalisation. So, but of course, there will still be people calling, Labour blue Tories. There's always a difference between these two people, but the thing is, though, that Labour promised to keep Grangemouth open, and they turn around and break that promise. How very Tory of them. Again, what's the whole sort of situation? Might not have been viable. There's just sometimes things just aren't viable. As much as you want to keep something, sometimes it's just not viable. But no, like I say, we can have a look at it. I mean, maybe again because Grangemouth was very sort of linked to the North Sea oil, but we know North Sea oil mostly because of OPEC destroyed the North Sea oil. Oil from the North Sea, I think, is only profitable if it's like extremely high. So production slows. You've seen Aberdeen go through so much changes over a couple of years. Like since a couple of years ago. I mean, it was well after the 2008 crash. But yeah, Aberdeen got put through the ringer a couple of years ago, like back like early 2000. It was like what 20. When was it now? Like 20. What 14, 15, or something like that. Massive job losses in the oil industry up in Aberdeen. There's a reason why it's called Little London. But yeah, no, I would like to see them, save it. I don't like it when when something like that big gets closed, because very often once something like that closes, it never comes back. But because I highly suspect that it is so linked to like North Sea oil, because you are seeing production, especially in the North Sea, just historically just trend down and down and down. Maybe it's just not viable. But then again, maybe this is where we need to be going to Canada, getting that oil from Canada, but we need to build that, that infrastructure on the East Coast to get that oil into the Scottish refineries to keep somewhere like that open. Or, again, pipeline. Pipeline from Norway. But at the moment, that might also be quite difficult, considering, probably the Russians probably fishing around. I know that this week as well, they were reported off the coast of Ireland. Again, looking at those undersea cables. God, was it that long ago? How time flies. I know, it's crazy sometimes when you think, yeah. But no, it could be just entirely just to do with, because, again, of the North Sea, because you've seen just production fall off. But maybe you can scale it down. Maybe there are options you can do. Maybe there are options you can do with it. But, like I say, I would like to see go and make that sectoral deal with Canada, get that infrastructure built that can get that oil from Canada, avoid the US, get it over there. But even that will take time. On that one. So we'll see what happens on that front. We'll see what happens, but Trump might be impeached next week. Well, we can can always live in hope, but that would just be crazy. Oh my, that would just be crazy if Trump just becomes impeached next week. I mean, I know, of course, last night we were talking on The Social. What is it? The 20th? Him imposing martial law or something like that. Yeah. I tell you what, if I was an American, I'd be getting, I'd be getting on that. Like I say, I'd be either going to sort of Canada, Ireland, UK, Australia, New Zealand, English speaking countries, making a run for the door. Who knows on that? Yeah. Anything can happen under Trump. Yeah, anything can happen in the next 60 seconds. Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Apparently, the government is now going to open a, quote, new refinery in England. Don't know how true this is, or whether it's just another rumour to rile the Scots up. Again, I haven't seen anything, just I was looking sort of around that Grangemouth stuff. I haven't seen anything about anything new for that. Although there are, so there is something here. UK government plans for Grangemouth. Here we are. Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh, hang on. There we go. So yeah, so this is from the actual UK government, future plans for Grangemouth. This was issued Just last month, March 19th. 9 options. Plan is now to secure a long-term industrial future. Have been stepped up as a feasibility study sets out 9 different options for its future. The plan is being backed by £2 million from the UK government, and of course £25 million, of course, from the Scottish government, which will support jobs, local investment, drive growth. The 1.5 million feasibility study published today by EY follows the recent decision by Pentros to decommission the oil refinery. And like I say, I think it is all about to do with the North Sea. Why sort of it has happened. It has identified at least credible long-term industrial options for Grangemouth and the site for how it can be explored, built on its skilled workforce, its local expertise, the long heritage as now a fuel leader in Scotland to forge now a new path in low-carbon energy production. The report provides at least 9 different proposals to attract now private investment, including plants, recycling, hydrogen production, other projects that could create up to 800 jobs by 2024, grow by 2040, grow the economy, deliver on both the government's share ambition to share and secure now a long-term future. To try and kickstart the process, the Energy Minister, Michael Shanks, and other acting Cabinet Secretary Gillian Martin are now co-chairing a meeting this morning, Wednesday, 19th of March, the Grangemouth Future Industrial Board with local leaders, Falkirk Council, trade bodies, trade unions, Scottish Enterprise, and UK Government Office for Investment all work now with Pentros to market these proposals to set out in Project Willow, which will now seek investor investment. So, like I say, they are trying to save it, trying to see what else they can do here. But yeah, 9 different projects: waste, hydrothermal upgrading, breaking down recycling plastics, biofeedstock, breaking down Scottish timber into bioethanol, offshore wind conduit, replacing natural gas with hydrogen, using low carbon now to produce methanol, convert it into SAF, producing low carbon ammonia, hydrogen for shipping and chemicals. Any national wealth fund investment will, of course, be very subject to investable positions in the fund's criteria. But yeah. So, like I say, that's right there. But hey, if maybe we do this again, like I say, I would hope they go into a deal with Canada and get that oil, bring that Canadian oil over to, like I say, the Scottish refineries. Makes most sense to me at this moment in time. Then you are not relying on America. And I think that's especially what a lot of people are realizing. But anyway, that's the end of our time together this morning. I'm afraid, like I say, I must dash. I must fly. I have things to do today, unfortunately. But like I say, thank you very much. Like I say, I do want to do some more live streams in the future, get some more live streaming done. It's something I want to do more of. Hope you've enjoyed this morning. And like I say, thank you very much to everyone watching. Like I say, please click the like, share button on your way out. Leave a comment down below after the stream ends. Helps with all the algorithmical stuff as well. So, like I say, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me this morning. It's been an absolute corker of a morning. Like I say, I can look out my window. And it looks like it's going to be an absolutely cracking morning this morning. So go out, enjoy your weekends, and have fun. Enjoy yourselves. If you can't be safe, be sensible, as they say. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.